they look pretty simple, so you don't feel like you start a big project and there are chapters up to chapters and ever more complicated concepts with no end in sight. There will be one exception to this, and by the end of the video you will probably guess which one it is. Hi, my name is Peter. I'm a professional web developer and been one for a little over a year now. And in this video series, I go over the Udemy courses that helped me land money-making gigs in little over 6 months into my web development journey. Today, I thought I would swap things around a little bit. Black Friday sales are in full swing and Udemy is no exception, so I thought I would log into my account and open up my basket and show you the courses that I have saved in there for later purchase. I'm not too sure if I buy anything in this Black Friday sale. I'm sure there's going to be a sale around Christmas as well. I've got loads of things planned out for December. I might go ahead and purchase one or two, but it's also possible that I will just postpone the purchase for later. But these are the courses that I'm really watching and planning to take sometime latest 2021. So what type of courses are these? Well, you can separate them into 3 or 4 groups. Some of them relate to general dev skills, such as best coding practices or problem solving skills. Then there are some must-learns, must-haves that every developer should know. Some of them relate to my specific interest and my business goals, and some of them are just saved for later, for really the future, which I really would like to get to, but I probably will never really have the time for them. All these courses are what I would classify as short to medium length courses. There are anywhere between 6 to 20 hours long, so depending on your available time you can get them done in 1 up to 2, maybe 3 weeks, which means that they're not too overwhelming. They look pretty simple, so you don't feel like you start a big project and there are chapters up to chapters and ever more complicated concepts with no end in sight. There will be one exception to this, and by the end of the video you will probably guess which one it is. So let's just not waste any more time and get right into the courses. So here we are in my basket. The courses are placed in no particular order. These are directly in my cart and these 2 are saved for later. So let's just start here, and this one is called Clean Code by Maximilian Schwarzmuller. He's one of my favorite instructors. This guy puts proper work into his courses. He's very thorough, intellectual, and goes into great detail in all his courses, YouTube videos I have watched from him. He's a bestseller instructor and this title is well deserved. This is a 6.5 hours course, and as the title suggests, it's about writing clean code, which is one of the key facets that separates newbie and pro coders. Although I've been coding for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, but my style, my way of structuring code has improved a lot, but still a long way to go, especially for me as a freelancer. I'm given more freedom in how I write, not being supervised, monitored very closely. So it's all the more important to be aware of industry standards. Now, is teaching principles, coding principles, which don't depend on a particular language or a framework. So you definitely need some programming experience. The examples will be in several languages, will be some in Python, others in TypeScript or JavaScript. So this is a little bit of a downside because you might have to convert some code into the language that you're familiar with, which is not impossible, but it just adds an extra step of complexity to finishing this course. the way it's structured is there are examples, there are practices and challenges to convert bad code to good. In one of the free publicly available videos, he shares a code snippet example how a Python challenge would look like. You can see it here on the screen. I don't know any Python at all, but you know, I've got enough experience to kind of figure out what this class does. I went ahead and created its JavaScript equivalent. So it is doable, but again, you know, it's a bit of an extra job. The next course I'll be talking about is the JavaScript algorithm and data structures course by Colt Steele. Colt Steele is a Udemy bestseller for his web development bootcamp. So this course is 21.5 hours long, and it's probably the longest course in my basket and probably the most intimidating one as well. It is for those who have not completed a computer science degree and want to bridge the skills gap between those who took the uni route. It's JavaScript based, so most developers with some coding experience will be able to follow along. The course is geared towards acing tech interviews, but the knowledge you gain can be used in normal programming activities. Focuses on problem solving and problem patterns. In tech interviews there are about 5-6 patterns, if I correctly remember, which if you learn and you'll be able to break down the interview question down into manageable bits, you should be able to solve them. These patterns are like the divide and conquer, sliding window, frequency counter, and all this is covered in this course. It's highly challenge based, and the topics include recursion, searching algorithms, sorting algorithms, and data structures. The next one is the complete WordPress theme and plugin development course by Zach Gordon. So this course is 16 hours long. I do manage a couple of WordPress sites, and I just want to be able to bring more value for clients by being able to customize themes or develop some themes myself. It's also a great passive income potentially. In the past, I've taken another WordPress development course, which I'm planning to review shortly, but that one was mostly about just theme building, and I feel it wasn't enough and I need more practice, and plugins were not covered at all. There's another WordPress theme building course. It's this one by Brad Hussey, but this one doesn't cover plugins either, and it comes with Bootstrap, and well, Bootstrap is like really being sidelined now in the tech community, so I'm not sure how relevant this one is. So that is the main reason, the fact that it's themes and plugins is why I prefer Zach Gordon's course, and this is the reason why I have it in my basket. Then next course I have here is the Linux Administration Bootcamp, Go from Beginner to Advanced by Jason Cannon. This is a 8.5 hour course, and well, I'm a Windows guy, but no real programmer is really operating on Windows, so I was told most use Mac or Linux-based system. Also, many applications are deployed on Linux servers, so to be able to manage that I need to get familiar with servers and server administration. However, it's not a top priority. As a junior, I'm very unlikely to be put in charge of whole systems myself. My role is usually limited to partial tasks where I take more charge, as a developer is more like WordPress systems which work out of the box for most part. The next one is Progressive Web Apps, PWA, the complete guide by Maximilian Schwarzmuller. This one is a 16-hour course. So PWAs are right up my alley. This is what I mostly do for a living. So this course is kind of a supplementary course to my existing skills. If you don't know what progressive web apps are, there are basically web programs and websites that feel more like a software installed on your computer or an app on a mobile. So basically the best way to visualize it is like you interact with a page, and when you press a button you don't load a completely new page on every request, rather only the necessary parts are updated. So this is how, let's say, Amazon works, or most online stores nowadays, most websites for that matter. So just by sending one request, it's not the whole page that's being re-rendered, so the experience is much smoother. And it's all about reducing blocking actions, loads of async interactions, syncing data in the background between local or remote databases. These web apps should work offline too, in case there's a patchy connection or you're completely off the grid. These apps should also be able to access native device features like camera or location. So the next course I have is the Object-Oriented PHP and MVC by Traversy. You might know him from YouTube, if not from Udemy. I got interested in this course when I got into Laravel, and I was overwhelmed by it at first. Was looking for a simple PHP and MVC course that helps me understand how classes are built upon each other in order to create functioning structure that gets stuff done in the backend, like authentication, authorization, CRUD operations. If you don't know what MVC is basically a design pattern. Stands for model view controller. It's just a neat way of separating your code based on their functionality. What this course gets done, it builds a basic PHP framework, a mini code igniter that can be developed further. It's pretty ambitious, and the fact that you build a framework really tickles my fancy. But now in the meanwhile I've become more comfortable with Laravel than before, so I'm fairly sure that I will be keeping this course on hold and not purchasing it anytime soon. By the way, it's a 6.5 hours course, so it's a really mini course, very digestible. And moving on, we're checking out these courses that I have saved for later that I'm unlikely to purchase anytime soon, though they look really exciting. Let's start with the bottom one. Again, Traversy, 16 hours course, 20 web projects with vanilla JavaScript. So if you are into challenges like the 100 days of code that's trending on Twitter, you can cross off 20 days easily with this course. So when do you ever feel like you learned enough JavaScript? Probably never, and that's how I felt about a year ago when I finished Jonas's course. By the way, if you're interested in my review about Jonas's JavaScript course, just click the link here. And yeah, that's the feeling that drove me to this course as well. You know, JavaScript projects, learning a lot about how it works in detail. But then at the same time I started working, and I used a lot of JS, learned a lot of JS along the way, and also realized that nowadays barely anything is done with vanilla JavaScript outside frameworks. jQuery is used, and with frameworks most of the procedural stuff that is used in plain JavaScript is just simply replaced with array and object methods. So it just felt like a bit of redundant knowledge, and one with very modest real-world applicability. And so I kind of put it on hold and never really went ahead and purchased it. Nevertheless, some projects are really cool. You can have a look here. And if you're a beginner and want to learn JavaScript and even a bit of CSS, it's definitely great for you. And some of the projects that caught my attention are the movie seat booking app, a custom video player, music player, exchange rate calculator. That includes also an API. Then we've got a hangman game, expense tracker, that uses persisting data in local storage, a speed typing game, memory card game, arcade style breakout game, countdown, a project including the drag and drop API, and a number guessing game. So if you're interested in plain JavaScript projects, it is a great course. However, I probably will not buy it. It was really interesting maybe a year ago, but I think hopefully don't sound arrogant, but it's probably not right for me anymore. And then as a last, we've got the Create a Survival Game in JavaScript with Phaser 3 by Morgan Page. It's a 3.5-hour course, and honestly, who as a kid not wanted to create their own games? I definitely wanted, and I'm still very interested in game development. There were so many things in my freelancing career and generally in life take precedence that I'm really afraid that I'll never get to this course. Now, this course has only 149 students, so that's not a lot. In these cases, it's always worth checking out some of the reviews, especially the low rate reviews, to see what issues people encountered. And if you look at them, you'll see that the course is not really for beginners, and the programming is rather just demonstrated and not explained enough, especially the Phaser 3 framework that is used for this survivor game. Now, if you don't know what Phaser 3 is, I didn't know, so I looked it up. It's basically a framework for 2D games, which a little bit brings back the early 90s feeling. Definitely this is how games looked like when I started. Actually, when I started, they were most of them didn't even have color, but still, I mean, these games, this one looks very similar to Super Mario, so you know, these games can still be enjoyed even 30 years later. So maybe this is not the best entry point into game development. Not exactly sure. Probably I would need a bit more thorough research into how to get into game development. Just having this in my basket and just thinking about maybe purchasing, but you know, it's just basically £14 right now. So even if it wasn't the best entry point for game development, I probably wouldn't have any regrets. As long as I can create something that's working, that would probably be good enough for me. So that wraps up the video. My greatest priority is probably the WordPress course, followed by Colt, Steele, JavaScript algorithm and data structures masterclass, and perhaps as a third is the PWA course. I'm not too sure whether or not I'll purchase anything in this sale. I might just wait until Christmas or perhaps New Year. But if you're interested in any of these courses, the links are down below. It's just a plain link, not an affiliate. So you're just only doing yourself a favor. Until next time, see you later.